New York City, 1975. The Dick Cavett Show. Late-night television. Muhammad Ali was the guest, sitting in the chair across from Cavett, relaxed, charismatic, doing what he did best, being Muhammad Ali, telling stories, making jokes, entertaining millions of viewers watching live across America. This was Ali's element. The camera, the audience, the spotlight. He thrived here the way he thrived in the ring. The show was taking phone calls, viewer questions, standard late-night format. People calling in to talk to the most famous athlete in the world. Most calls were friendly, fans wanting to hear Ali's voice, wanting him to say something quotable, wanting to be part of the moment. Ali handled them all with charm, made every caller feel special, made every question seem important, even when it wasn't. Then the call came that would change the entire evening. The one that transformed entertainment into confrontation. The one that became legendary. The one that proved something about Ali that everyone knew intellectually, but had never seen demonstrated quite this dramatically on live national television. The producer signaled Cavett urgently. Another caller holding on the line. Cavett took it professionally. "Hello, you're live on the air with Muhammad Ali. What's your question for the champ?" The voice that came for the speakers was immediately different from previous callers. Not friendly, not respectful, not excited. Hostile, deliberately aggressive, confrontational. The voice of someone who'd been waiting specifically for this moment, who'd planned this call, who'd called in with explicit purpose beyond asking a simple question. "Yeah, I got a question for Ali," the caller said with obvious contempt. Male voice, probably mid-30s based on tone. Thick Brooklyn accent, blue-collar background. When's he gonna finally admit his fights are completely fixed? When's he gonna stop pretending he's a legitimate champion? Everyone with half a brain knows boxing is rigged. Everyone knows Ali's entire record is carefully manufactured by promoters. He ain't the greatest fighter. He's the greatest actor, the greatest fraud, the greatest con man in the entire history of professional sports. And everybody who really knows boxing understands this. The studio went completely silent. You could hear the cameras running. The audience stopped breathing collectively. Cavett looked genuinely shocked, mouth slightly open. This wasn't normal caller behavior. This wasn't an awkward question. This wasn't even aggressive fandom. This was a direct, deliberate public attack on Muhammad Ali's fundamental legitimacy, on his entire career, on everything he built, on his identity as a fighter, live on national television with millions of viewers watching across America. Ali's expression changed instantly. The transformation was visible. The playful entertainer who'd been charming audiences vanished completely. The real Ali appeared. The fighter, the competitor, the man who'd literally never backed down from anything in his entire life, who'd faced the United States government, who'd sacrificed his title for principle, who'd gone to prison rather than compromise. That Ali leaned forward in his chair slowly, voice calm, but carrying an unmistakable edge that everyone in the studio could physically feel. "What's your name?" Ali asked, each word deliberate, controlled, dangerous. "Danny Fitzgerald," the caller said, clearly enjoying himself, clearly thinking he was safe behind the telephone line. "And I've been saying for years that your fights are completely choreographed, that promoters specifically pick your opponents to make you look good, that referees are instructed to protect you, that judges are told to favor you in decisions, that the entire thing is theater, entertainment, performance art, not real athletic competition. You're not a real fighter. You're a showman. You're an entertainer. And everyone who actually knows boxing professionally knows this truth." "Where are you from, Danny Fitzgerald?" Ali asked, still calm, still controlled, but something was building. Everyone watching could sense it. "Brooklyn, born and raised, and I know real fighters. I've trained fighters. I know what real boxing looks like. And what you do ain't it. What you do is performance art. What you do is selling tickets with your mouth and your fame. not with real fighting ability. Ali stood up from his chair. The audience gasped. Cavett tried to interject, tried to calm the situation, tried to move to commercial, but Ali raised a hand, stopped him. This needed to be addressed. This needed to be handled. This needed to be settled. "You think my fights are fixed?" Ali said, voice carrying through the studio, through the cameras, through millions of television sets. "You think I'm not a real fighter? You think I'm an actor, a fraud, a con man? You really believe that?" "I know it," Fitzgerald said. "Everyone in Brooklyn knows it. Everyone who actually understands boxing knows it. You're famous for your mouth, not your fists. You're a celebrity, not a champion." "Then come prove it," Ali said. "You know so much about real fighting. You've trained fighters. You know what real boxing looks like. Come show me. Come to the ring. Come fight me. Tomorrow. New York Athletic Club. I'll be there, Moon. You show up. We'll see if my fights are fixed. We'll see if I'm a real fighter. We'll see if you can back up all that talk with actual ability. Or if you're the fraud. You're the actor. You're the one with the mouth and no substance." The studio erupted. The audience couldn't believe it. Muhammad Ali had just challenged a random caller to an actual fight, live on television, in front of millions. This wasn't banter. This wasn't entertainment. This was real. This was Ali putting his reputation on the line against someone who had publicly disrespected him. Fitzgerald went quiet for a moment. Clearly hadn't expected this response. Clearly thought he could call in, talk trash, and hang up without consequences. Didn't expect Muhammad Ali to actually challenge him to prove his claims. "You serious?" Fitzgerald asked. Voice different now. Less confident. More uncertain. "Dead serious," Ali said. "You called me a fraud on national television. You said my fights are fixed. You said I'm not a real fighter. Now I'm giving you the chance to prove it. Show up tomorrow, noon, New York Athletic Club. We'll get in the ring. No cameras, no judges, no referees to protect me, just you and me. You can show millions of people if you're right, if I'm really a fraud, if my fights are really fixed. Or you can not show up, and everyone will know you're the fraud. You're the one with all mouth and no ability. You're the coward who talks big when it's safe, but disappears when it's real." Cavett tried again to regain control of the show. This was dangerous. This could be liability. This could be lawsuit. This could be disaster. But Ali waved him off again. This was happening. This was important. This needed to play out. "I'll be there," Fitzgerald said finally. "I'll show up. I'll prove you're not what people think you are. I'll show everyone that Danny Fitzgerald knows what he's talking about." "Good," Ali said. "Tomorrow, noon, don't be late. And bring your ability. Bring your training. Bring whatever makes you think you can talk about Muhammad Ali like you know something. We'll settle this the right way, the only way that matters. In the ring." The call ended. Cavett went to commercial. The studio was chaos. Producers scrambling. Lawyers being called. Network executives freaking out. Muhammad Ali had just arranged a fight with a random caller on live television. This was unprecedented. This was insane. This was potentially criminal. This was definitely not covered by any insurance policy. Sitting back in his chair, smiling that Ali smile. He'd done what needed doing. Someone had publicly disrespected him, had questioned his legitimacy, had called him a fraud in front of millions. Ali had responded the only way that made sense. Challenge, confrontation, settling it the way fighters settle things, in the ring. The next morning, word had spread absolutely everywhere, through every possible media channel. Every single newspaper carried the story on the front page. Every radio station discussed it constantly. Every television news program led with it. Muhammad Ali publicly challenged a television caller to an actual fight. The caller accepted the challenge live on air. "It's happening today, noon, New York Athletic Club." This was the biggest story in sports, maybe the biggest story in all of news, maybe the biggest story in entertainment. Muhammad Ali versus some random guy from Brooklyn who said his fights were fixed and got called out to prove his claims. Fitzgerald had to show up now. Had to. The pressure was unimaginable. The whole world knew about the challenge. Everyone was watching. Everyone was waiting. Everyone was talking about it. If he didn't show, he'd be humiliated forever. He'd be permanently known as the coward who talked big on national television, then hid when Ali called him out. He'd never live it down. Everyone in Brooklyn would know Danny Fitzgerald was all mouth. Everyone everywhere would know. His name would become synonymous with backing down, with being a fraud, with talking tough from safety, then disappearing when consequences arrived. But if he showed up, what exactly was the plan? What was the endgame? He'd have to fight Muhammad Ali, the heavyweight champion of the world, the most skilled boxer alive, the fastest heavyweight in history, the man who'd beaten Sonny Liston, Joe Frazier, George Foreman, the man who dominated boxing for over a decade. What was Fitzgerald realistically thinking he could do? What training did he possibly have that would matter against someone of Ali's caliber? What possible scenario existed where this ended well for him? What was he hoping would happen when he stepped into a ring with the greatest? Noon approached with building tension. New York Athletic Club Gymnasium. The place was absolutely packed beyond capacity. Word had gotten out and spread like wildfire. Reporters from every major publication. Television cameras from multiple networks. Photographers jostling for position. Regular people who'd heard about the challenge and wanted to witness history. Wanted to see if Fitzgerald would actually show up. Wanted to see what would happen when he did. Wanted to be able to say they were there. This was genuine history unfolding. This was unprecedented. This was Muhammad Ali defending his honor and legitimacy against a random nobody who'd publicly disrespected him. Ali arrived at 11:30, wearing full training gear, shorts, boxing shoes. Hand wraps already done. Ready to fight for real. Ready to prove whatever needed proving. Ready to settle this the only way that mattered. His entire team tried desperately to talk him out of it. His lawyers explained the legal liability in excruciating detail, the potential lawsuits, the insurance nightmares, the risk of injury to a civilian, the absurdity of the heavyweight champion fighting some random untrained guy from Brooklyn over a phone call. But Ali wasn't hearing any of it. This wasn't about legal risk or insurance or absurdity. This was about respect. This was about someone calling him a fraud publicly on national television. This was about settling that claim definitively in front of everyone. This was about proving Muhammad Ali's legitimacy was real. Noon came and passed. Fitzgerald hadn't shown yet. Reporters started writing their stories in their heads, started crafting the narrative. Fitzgerald chickened out. Ali won without throwing a single punch. The coward from Brooklyn who talked impossibly big but couldn't back it up when challenged. The man who disrespected Muhammad Ali, then hid when Ali gave him the chance to prove his claims. The story basically wrote itself. This would follow Fitzgerald forever. Danny Fitzgerald, the man who called Ali a fraud, then was too scared to prove it. Then at 12:15, the gymnasium door opened slowly. Everyone turned simultaneously. Complete silence fell over the packed room. Danny Fitzgerald walked in deliberately. He'd actually come. The caller who'd insulted Ali on live national television had physically shown up to face the consequences of his words. He was wearing full workout clothes, boxing shorts, proper boxing shoes, professional hand wraps already applied, carrying his own gloves. He'd come genuinely prepared, come actually ready, come to really fight Muhammad Ali. This was happening. This was real. Fitzgerald was maybe 5'10" at most, 180 pounds. Clearly worked out regularly. Clearly had some legitimate training. You could see it in how he carried himself, how he moved. But he absolutely wasn't a professional fighter, wasn't a real boxer at any competitive level. Wasn't someone who'd ever fought at Ali's stratosphere. Wasn't someone who belonged in a ring with the heavyweight champion under any circumstances. But he was here regardless. He'd shown up. That took genuine courage. Stupid courage, maybe. Suicidal courage, potentially. But undeniable courage nonetheless. Ali stood up slowly from the bench where he'd been waiting patiently. Walked toward Fitzgerald deliberately. The room held its collective breath. Was this going to be a real fight? Was this actually happening right now? Was Muhammad Ali about to beat up a random television caller in front of cameras and hundreds of witnesses? What were the legal implications? What were the liability issues? What was anyone thinking allowing this? You showed up, Ali said, voice carrying clearly through the silent gymnasium. I genuinely didn't think you would. Thought you'd realize how incredibly stupid this was and stay home safely. But you're here. You came. So let's be absolutely clear about what this is. You called me a fraud on national television, said my fights are fixed, said I'm not a real fighter. Now you're going to find out definitively if you're right. We're going to spar. Light contact only. Not trying to hurt you. Just proving a point. Just showing you what real fighting looks like. Showing everyone watching that Muhammad Ali's skills are completely real. Not fixed. Not choreographed. Not manufactured. Real. You understand? You good with that? Fitzgerald nodded, trying to hide his nervousness. I'm good with it. Let's go. Let's do this. They climbed into the ring from opposite corners. No referee present, no judges, no official anything. Just two men in boxing gloves with hundreds of people watching silently. Muhammad Ali and some guy from Brooklyn who'd talked himself into the most insane situation of his entire life. They touched gloves in the center, started moving cautiously, and immediately, within the first 5 seconds, everyone watching understood the complete truth. The difference was absolutely absurd, comical, almost tragic. Ali was playing a completely different sport than Fitzgerald, operating on a different level, moving in a different dimension. Ali flowed like water, like air, like something that defied normal physics. Fitzgerald moved like a guy who trained seriously at a gym, who knew the basics competently, who could throw proper punches and maintain his guard, who understood fundamentals, but who was so completely, utterly, hopelessly outclassed it was almost embarrassing to watch. Ali slipped every single punch Fitzgerald threw, made them miss by mere inches, made Fitzgerald look slow, made him look like he was moving through thick mud, while Ali moved through nothing. Ali landed crisp jabs at will, light taps, not trying to hurt, not trying to damage, just proving the point, just demonstrating that he could hit Fitzgerald whenever he wanted, however he wanted, wherever he wanted, that Fitzgerald had absolutely no defense, no answer, no ability to compete even remotely. The crowd watched in stunned silence, watched Fitzgerald try everything he knew, try every combination he'd been taught, try every technique he'd practiced, and watched Ali casually avoid all of it, effortlessly, almost lazily, making it look easy, making it look like Fitzgerald was moving in slow motion, making it abundantly clear that the gap between them wasn't just large, it was insurmountable. 3 minutes, that's all it took. Just 3 minutes of Ali demonstrating the massive gulf between a real elite fighter and someone who trains recreationally. Between the heavyweight champion of the world and a guy from Brooklyn who thought he understood boxing. Between the greatest of all time and someone who didn't comprehend what greatness actually meant in practice. Ali stopped moving, stepped back deliberately. "We done?" he asked calmly. "You see it now? You understand that my fights absolutely aren't fixed? That I'm actually this skilled? That the reason I win is pure ability, not choreography? Or you need more demonstration? I can keep going. I can show you more. Whatever you need to understand the truth." Fitzgerald was breathing hard, exhausted, frustrated, humiliated. He'd landed maybe 2 punches, both blocked easily. He'd been made to look foolish, made to look exactly like what he was. Someone who didn't belong in a ring with Muhammad Ali. Someone who talked far beyond his ability. "I see it," Fitzgerald admitted, voice quiet, defeated. "I was wrong. You're the real deal." The gym erupted in applause. Not for the sparring, for Fitzgerald admitting he was wrong, for having the courage to show up and the humility to acknowledge the truth, for facing the consequence of his words and learning from it. Ali took off his gloves, walked over to Fitzgerald, put his arm around him. Takes courage to show up, takes more courage to admit when you're wrong. You did both. Most people wouldn't. Most people would have stayed home, pretended they never called, pretended the challenge never happened. You came, you faced it, you learned. That's respectable. That's more than most people would do. The story became absolutely legendary in boxing history and beyond. The time Muhammad Ali challenged a random TV caller to an actual fight and the caller actually showed up. The time Ali definitively proved his skills weren't fixed by demonstrating them publicly against a genuine skeptic. The time someone disrespected Ali, and Ali made them either prove their claims or admit they were completely wrong. It became a story told and retold, became part of Ali mythology, became proof of his character. Years later, Danny Fitzgerald gave extensive interviews about the experience, said it was simultaneously the stupidest and best decision of his entire life. Said getting in the ring with Ali taught him more about boxing and about life than anything else ever had. Said understanding how utterly outmatched he was gave him genuine respect for what Ali did. Said calling Ali a fraud was the single most embarrassing thing he'd ever done publicly. Said Ali showing him mercy instead of destroying him was a profound lesson in character he never forgot. Said he told the story to his kids and grandkids as a lesson about backing up your words and admitting when you're wrong. The lesson resonates universally across time. Talk is easy. Everyone can criticize. Everyone can claim someone else's success is fake or manufactured. Everyone can disrespect from safety. But being willing to back up your words, being willing to face real consequences, being willing to admit when you're wrong, that's genuinely rare. That's meaningful. That's what separates people who matter from people who just make noise. Danny Fitzgerald made noise on national television. Then he showed up and faced Muhammad Ali. That's more than most critics ever do. That's more than most people who talk would ever do. And Ali respected that, respected the courage to show up, respected the humility to admit being wrong. That's the real lesson. Not that Ali was skilled, everyone knew that, but that facing your words takes courage, and admitting error takes character. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to remember that words have consequences, and backing them up matters. Subscribe for more stories about respect earned through action. Remember, Muhammad Ali challenged a caller who disrespected him. The caller showed up. That's integrity on both sides.